still be able to say.
Good evening, ladies, non-binary folks, and whatever that weird third gender we apparently have now is. Welcome back to Blizzard Comedy. Please come say the second act of the evening. It's me, Johnny Collins! Just because that wasn't clear enough, how are we all doing? We're having a good night? That would not have impacted the show if you weren't. I would have done the same hour regardless. But it is nice to know that you're either having a good time or polite enough and good enough liars that you're sending it to me anyway. So thank you. Thank you very much. Really fucking appreciate it. Fucking I made a fucking balls up with the scheduling there. That show was fucking amazing. One more time for Sam C. Whole fucking OBS presentation. I've just got my set list in the form of content warning. This is how we're going to be. Right, I do have a few disclaimers before the show starts properly, before I get into the actual fucking solid gold. I too have been doing stand-up comedy for over 11 years at this point, but don't worry, that will not be reflected in tonight's presentation. This is the first time I've said a lot of this out loud. I meant to do this show for the first time last year. I delayed it a year. And frankly, it's still not ready now, but I thought I'd take a leaf out of CD Projekt Red's book. And debut it anyway, and then I can just patch in all the best stuff in after you've already given me a second thing is, you've probably noticed this, but I know most of you in this room. A lot of the people in this room I have either drunk with, had sex with, or played Super Smash Bros. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate online with, you know, first, second, and third base. So there will be some stuff, for those of you who know me, that if you've come to this show regularly, you would have heard some of these bits before in different contexts. Some of it's been recontextualised, some of it hasn't, so I'm just going to need you to pretend, first of all, that you haven't heard me say those things before, and second of all, that you don't know who I am, because just so I can get an accurate gauge of how much of this stuff actually works, and how much of it is actually going to stay in the show, and how much of it belongs in the recycling bin. Yeah, good. Third thing I want to, the third and last disclaimer is, I got very used over lockdown to not having to learn my scripts. Because you could just read off a word up and no one gave a fuck. So I am going to be referring to my notes, and somebody's probably reading off the script during the show. I'm sorry if that breaks your immersion, it's not ideal. But if that is a problem for you, what you can do is if you just close your eyes and pretend you're listening to a podcast, that'd be great. It's fucking amazing how many things just closing your eyes solve. Hey, how many problems closing your eyes solves? Like whenever you're on social media, someone's wrong on the internet, just close your eyes and they're not anymore. It's amazing. And if your imagination's good enough, right, not only are they now correct about everything, they also fancy you. If you're in a rock band and the venue's strobe lighting doesn't work, doesn't matter. Just tell everyone in the audience to blink very fast to get the same thing. And no one has any seizures. In some ways, it's better. Do you ever have your eyes hurting a bit because they've been open too long? Boy, have I got a life hack for you. So get that out of the way, ready for the actual show? Johnny, short for AndroJonny, hence the title of the show. All of you have heard that pun far too many times to laugh at it anymore, so I appreciate your honest silence. I don't much because it's genuinely the favourite. It's genuinely like I think it's the best thing I've ever written. It is Pete. It's downhill from here. I absolutely love it. I always remember where I was and what I was doing when I first wrote that joke. So in that sense, it's kind of like my own personal 9/11. That one up. It feels weird giving that content warning, but it is 9/11. Yeah. What the fuck was I talking about? Yeah, I always remember where I was. So when I came up with that joke, I was in my job, which I worked in at the time, which was underpaid, but to its credit, also unfulfilling. And if any of you have ever been in a job that has been simultaneously underpaid and unfulfilling, what you do in that job is you try and do literally anything you possibly can while at work other than doing your job. So what I was doing, because I recently discovered I was one of those non-binaries that we have now, and I was trying to think of a new name for myself, a more gender-neutral name, because even if I'll be honest, like. My name isn't really short for AndroJonny, that's just a pun. my full Christian name is actually Jonathan Collins, and I'll be honest with you, even before I saw a photograph of Joan Jett in 1978 and a decade-long identity crisis about it, I never really vibed with that name. I never liked the name Jonathan Collins, I never wanted to be called Jonathan Collins. In fact, even my parents didn't really want to call me Jonathan Collins. I don't know. What they wanted to call me was Downfall! Commander of all that is here! Collins. Because they were expecting a girl, you see. When my parents got the ultrasounds back, my dad... when my parents got the ultrasound scans back, my dad was like, hang on, no, zoom in on that. No, I know a cock when I see one, that fetus is hung. That child is either going to be a boy or a very popular category in porn 20 years down the line. So, if it's going to be a boy, you can't call a boy yourself for Commander Full of Evil. Just imagine how much you get bullied at school. So, dodge the bullet there, because I can imagine what it would have been like to have been bullied at school. It's funny, because I clearly was. I was bullied by everyone at school. I was bullied. I was bullied by the jocks for not being any good at sports and always running away from the football in the playground. I was bullied by the nerds for not being any good at Dungeons and Dragons, always running away from the dice in the library. I was bullied by the gangster kids for listening to heavy metal music, and I was bullied by the metalheads for listening to the wrong sorts of heavy metal. And I was bullied by the boys for having long hair and looking a bit like a girl, and I was bullied by the girls for largely the same reasons. They used to say that I was gay, and they used to say that I wasn't a real man. Well, joke's on you, Anton from Year 9! Turns out you were onto something. So anyway, while that was going through my head, I was like, okay, right, I can do a thing of myself a more gender-neutral name, but also, as we've established, I don't like having to remember things. So I didn't want to have to learn a whole new name. That feels like far too much effort. Which is the same reason most of the material here tonight is from at least 4 years ago. I don't have to do it, but then something that I did, what every single insufferable stand-up comedian does, tautology, I know. Every single stand-up comedian does, and thought, okay, how can I get a gender-based pun with the name I already have, so I don't need to learn a new one? And that's when I realised that the name Johnny, the shortened version of Jonathan Johnny, sounds a bit like the last 2 syllables of the word AndroJonny if you deliberately pronounce it weird. Androgyny, of course, which is defined by the Oxford English Dictionary as something which is something which is neither male or female. Defined by the Merriam-Webster Dictionary as something that combines aspects of masculinity and femininity, and defined by the Urban Dictionary as confusing, but you still would. And that concludes the portion of the show where I explain why the title's funny. So if you had it... second page. So, for those of you who haven't caught on at this point, I am non-binary. We've already established that I know most of you in the room, but just humour me. If you want any other non-binary people in the room, give me a cheer. Fantastic, good, that's a decent number. I did this at an open mic in London a couple of weeks ago, and literally one person cheered, and I'm like, that's a binary number, you failed. Just on the off chance that some of you don't know what that means, essentially, everyone who didn't cheer just then is a 1 or a 0. Everyone who did cheer is a 9. My pronouns are they, them, and she, her, but the she, her is a tomboy and the they, them is a twink. That's... Generally how I describe my gender to most people. No, essentially, for the uninitiated amongst us, essentially, what non-binary is, it's like a sub-genre of being transgender, where you're not entirely male or female, you're somewhere kind of in between or outside of that binary. Essentially, I am to gender what Limp Bizkit is to alternative music in the 90s. It doesn't feel right to call them a rock band. They're definitely too white and not cool enough to be a rap group. But what they've done is they've combined the worst aspects of both of those two things to create an amalgamation that is as innovative as it is annoying. And most people over the age of 25 only like it ironically. That's basically who I am. I get it though. It's weird. I have curated this game to be as queer as possible, so I know I don't need to explain this stuff. But just like you and me for the point of the show, I understand this is a weird concept to a lot of people. Often, when I kind of introduce myself and say, hi, I'm Johnny, I'm non-binary, I don't get such a lovely reaction from people in the audience. Sometimes I'll say, hi, I'm Johnny, I'm non-binary, and there'll be some guy who'll say something like, what? What do you mean there's more than 2 genders? No one can count that high. Before he storms out the room and moans about how wokeness has caused his 3rd divorce in as many months. Like, you know the kind of guy I mean, right? The kind of guy who says things like, oh, has political correctness gone mad, when he said he needs to wash his bed sheets more than twice a year. You know the kind of guy I mean? The kind of guy who views political ideologies the same way that he views genders, in that he only recognises 2 of them exist and barely understands his own. You're either a boy or you're a communist. That's just biology. You know the kind of guy I mean? The kind of guy who refused to get the COVID vaccine because he wasn't trusting what they were putting in it, but is quite happy to get his 3-year-old daughter's ears pierced at Claire's Accessories. I know, fucking bold move for me to be dressed like this, slagging off Claire's Accessories. I didn't know for every single Claire's Accessory. I never said I wasn't a hypocrite. You know the kind of guy I mean? The kind of guy who's says his favourite band is the Sex Pistols, but also comes whenever he hears the national anthem. That is just Johnny Rotten at this point. You know the kind of guy I mean? The kind of guy that says he doesn't listen to rap hop music on the whole, but does have a soft spot for Eminem. Wonder why. You know, kind of guy. The kind of guy who complains to Ofcom about diversity hires when he finds out that his wife is a woman now. The kind of guy who. The kind of guy that says things like, oh, you can't say anything anymore, and never stops talking. The kind of guy I started this night specifically to avoid. That kind of guy. What the fuck was I talking about? Yeah, so, I get it's confusing. I get that it can be weird for some people. We are taught gender in a very binary way. And so it's difficult for some people to conceptualise gender outside of, Barbie and Oppenheimer. No, I'm not writing this show to try and convince people who have a rigidly binary idea of gender that I exist, right? I've tried it several times before. They just think I'm some kind of sexy trick of the light. If you are someone who maybe isn't well versed in this stuff, but is more open to the ideas that gender is just more than what vague letters your genetics look like. Shut up, Mum! Maybe my dad's sperm just had bad handwriting. You don't know that's a Y. Stop being ableist. But if you are that way inclined, I am happy to teach you all. Full transparency, I am just some bimbo, right? I am not a wizard or I'm not gonna be you're not gonna be leaving tonight with a Bachelor's of Arts honours in transness, right? That's not how it's going to be working. I'm going to be talking about my own kind of personal gender journey through this show. There'll be some things I say that other trans people might not necessarily agree with. That doesn't mean that they're wrong. Doesn't necessarily mean that I'm wrong. It just means that we haven't argued enough online to come to a mutual understanding. Just take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But I thought what would be a fun way to start, just to make sure everyone's kind of on the same page, is start with the terminology, because you could be forgiven for thinking that all of these wacky new genders only really appeared in the last 10 or 15 years or so. And yes and no. Non-binary genders have been around basically since the beginning of civilization, but the lexicon has expanded exponentially in the last decade and a half or so. So I can understand some of you might be a bit confused with this. So I'm going to try and lay out all the main types of transgender that there are, so when I'm getting into the show, you don't need to interrupt to ask any questions. There will be time for questions at the end when I am not in this room. But yeah, we'll start off with one which is a bit of a dated term. Some of you might have heard the term transvestite before. That's how I used to identify myself. That is a bit of a dated term. We usually say that people who used to be called transvestites would now be gender non-conforming. is what we call them now. But essentially, what that means is someone who is the gender that they were assigned at birth, but they wear clothes and they present in a way that is not typically associated with that gender. So, like, for example, like a man who likes to wear dresses or skirts, or a woman who likes to wear whatever bland shit men usually wear. I don't know. Beige chinos. A band t-shirt of a band who hasn't released a good album in 30 years. and Converse trainers with barbecue sauce stains on them. See, this is why I never really got any female transvestites. Men's clothes are fucking awful. whereas transgender is something very different. That is a kind of a blanket term for anyone whose gender does not match the one they were assigned at birth. Essentially, if at your gender reveal party they shouted "It's a boy," but you now code and listen to hyperpop, you're transgender. Well, what am I talking about? Done that one. Oh, yeah. So quite a lot of transgender people will seek some kind of social or surgical or medical things to help themselves feel more like the gender that they are. This is referred to as transition. Now, this can range from all sorts of things. You've got social ones like the way you present, the way your name, your pronouns. You can get more medical ones, which are like hormone replacement therapy and some kind of surgical procedures. Personally, my own transitional journey, I see as I've just barely changed my name, changed my pronouns, I present in this way, I would like hormone replacement therapy, and to top it all off, I will overthrow capitalism. 100% not a joke. I had an epiphany recently and I realised that the fundamental existence of our economic system is incompatible with my gender. The existence of capitalism is basically a hate crime against me. I'm fucking serious. Have you seen the waiting list for NHS gender affirming care lately? Have you seen the cost of private gender affirming care lately? Basically, if you want to transition now, your only options are you can wait 5 years only to be spoken to by some probably cisgender person to ask you if you've ever masturbated, and if so, well, clearly you're not transgender enough, so I'm not going to give you any treatment. Try again in 5 years. Or you could go into unmanageable debt for most people, on or under the median average income. Those are your only options. Like forget getting on the housing ladder. This bitch is getting a mortgage out on her titties. I really just wanted to say mortgage out on these titties. That whole convoluted bit is just leading to that. So we've got transvestite, transgender, transition. Transparent is a trans person with at least one child. Transistor is a trans woman with siblings. Transit is short for transgender information technology. Which is different from other information technology because we only use hex. It's not worth keeping in, but I like it. Transport is where rich trans people keep their yachts. It's also the opposite of trans-starboard on said yachts, you're right. Well spotted. Transfer is what you call the hair that grows on us transgender people. Not even going to get into transferees, that'll be next year's show. Translator is how we say goodbye to each other. See you translator, trans-alligator, in a while, sis and I'll. Transactions speak louder than trans words. Transmits is what I wear on my trans hands in the winter. Transduce is what happens when two trans people of comparable athletic ability play tennis together. When we're allowed to! Transgressions are what you're doing if you're not laughing at these jokes. To transcend is what you're all begging me to do to this bit right now. Transfix is the name of my DIY company. And Transformers are a line of toys from the 1980s that are at least partially responsible for the success of film director Michael Bay. So, never say that we have been without our crimes. That's our bad sauce. Right, so good. Now we're on the same page. For 20 minutes here, I get on to my actual story. So I came out as non-binary when I was about 23 years old in the year 2018. You remember 2018, right? The year where the idea of a Boris Johnson prime ministerial term was a hypothetical worst-case scenario. Remember 2018, the time when we didn't realise there were any health risks associated with having strangers spit in your mouth. That's just how we greeted each other. 2018, a time when cloud gaming service Google Stadia didn't exist. So in many ways, nothing has changed. For those of you trying to do the maths, I was 23 in 2018, that means I was born in 1995, which makes me a millennial, but only just. Essentially, essentially what happened is I overslept, but skipped a shower and got really lucky with trains, so I just made it into the office in time to avoid being Gen Z. It's a really fucking weird time to have been alive, being a 90s kid. Well, I say a 90s kid. I'm a 90s kid in the same way that Dave Mustaine was the lead guitarist of Metallica. Technically it's true, but I was in it for such a short amount of time, and with the amount of substance abuse Dave was doing at the time, neither of us have any strong recollections of it. But yeah, essentially, I am of a generation where I remember VHS tapes, but I don't remember a time before the Macarena existed. I was born in 1955, which gave me the immense privilege of coming of age at the release of Windows Vista, which was like you hear a lot of comedians talk about the kind of cultural shift of Gen Xers and Boomers having their first kind of pornographic experience of finding pornographic magazines in the woods and then wanking over it, versus now when you can just go on the internet and have it streamed directly into your eyes. I'm of a generation where I got to experience my first internet pornography in Aero. I was born in the right generation. The Windows Vista standing joke's not doing well, I wonder why. I said what I said, fuck XP. But yeah, so I started watching porn in my kind of late preteens, around 12 or 13, and it was around the same time when I first discovered straight pornography. Now, if you've not seen straight pornography before, it's alright. So, it's niche, but if you're into that sort of thing, it's a lot like normal pornography, but the acting's less convincing. And this was I came out as non-binary in 2018, but I've been kind of experiencing what I now know as gender dysphoria for quite a while, and my first time experiencing it was really my first time watching straight pornography. I had a very weird feeling after watching it. I don't know if it's a common experience, because I assume that when most straight, cis men watch pornography for the first time, they watch it with a kind of air of, I wish that was me having sex with all those beautiful women. I wish that was me and my definitely not that girthy penis that those women were putting in their mouths while he's looks like he's drumming on a clitoris. That doesn't look comfy. Whereas it was my first experience with straight porn was I wish I was some of those beautiful women. Maybe not in their current predicament. I don't know where I'd put them, but in general, yeah, I didn't know what this meant at the time. At first I thought maybe that just meant that I was gay. But when I was that age, I was also at the age where I thought that bumming was when two consenting adults smushed their buttocks together and farted into each other's anuses. Anuses, ani, bumholes. So I maybe wasn't sexually mature enough to be defining my sexuality at that point. Not that I was entirely wrong though. I am actually bisexual. Give us a cheer, bisexuals in the room. Woo! Give us a cheer, pansexuals. Woo! We can take them. Let's fucking take them. I should. should clarify what I mean when I say bisexual, by the way, because you know, there is a lot of controversy between the terms bisexual, between the terms bisexuality and pansexuality. I myself kind of flip between them in my time. I generally opt for bisexual now for a couple of reasons, which I'll explain. But there's a lot of controversy between the two terms. Like a lot of bisexuals think that the term pansexuality is just kind of erasing their existence and unnecessary. And a lot of pansexuals think that the term bisexual is inherently exclusionary of non-binary genders. And the reason I think that is because of the etymology of the word bisexual. Bi as a prefix, of course, meaning two of a thing. You know, like a bicycle, a two-wheeled vehicle, biped, a two-legged creature, biennial, 2 times a year, bishops, 2 shops. Bias, 2 butts. He's definitely a drag king name. Someone used that. Bias, 2 butts. Billions, 2 lions. Which is also a fairly effective strategy of dealing with the existence of billionaires. Bible, which is the average number of testicles a person with testicles has if you round it to the nearest testicle. And bites, the Elder Scrolls 2 Daggerfall. Because bites is bi, which means 2, and then TES, which is the Elder Scrolls. I've never really played the game. Who is this for? It's not even for me. So the argument goes that from a historical and etymological point of view, bisexual is not a term that's necessarily encompassing of the way that we understand gender now. Though I'd argue it's actually more important. By the way, also, I realise as well, I've just gone through like the 15 different types of transgender there are, and now I'm going through sexuality. Some of you in the room are probably like, oh, can we stop learning, please? Why do we need all these labels? Why can't you just be who you are and that be fine? There's only one sexuality, the human sexuality. But you know, labels are important, because otherwise, how else are you going to know how to wash us? Just saying, you don't mix your gays and lesbians in with bisexuals, otherwise all the colours will run and the bodies will become invisible. That's the first thing they teach you in queer class, or Homo economic, if you will. But I was saying, I would argue that it's less important what the word literally means and more how it is used. And most bisexuals I know are very much attracted to non-binary people as well as the objectively less attractive genders. I think the etymology only goes so far. Like, take the word couple, for example. Couple also literally means 2 of a thing. However, when you were chatting to your mates, this afternoon at work and going, hey, do you fancy going to see some stand-up comedy this evening? Maybe have a couple of pints. You are going home in an Uber at 4 AM and throwing up, right? Couple and bisexual means 2 minimum, a plurality. There is no upper ceiling. The upper ceiling is just the number of things that there are in the universe. Right? But you don't think, well, if that's the case, then what's the point for the term pansexual? I would still argue that, I think they're complicated words, and I think largely bisexuals and pansexuals are attracted to similar pools of people. But there is a key distinction between them. So most people I know who call themselves pansexual, I think bisexual is attraction to multiple genders, whereas pansexual is attraction that is not influenced by gender. This is how I see it. There may be some pansexuals who disagree with that, but bear with me, I need it for this next joke. Essentially, like, to my understanding, pansexuality means you are not particularly influenced in attraction by gender or sex or gender presentation. All of that stuff is just window dressing for a shop you already decided to go into, or have into you, I guess. Whereas if you're bisexual, you are in love with every single woman in the world, both cisgender and normal. You are attracted to every single non-binary person in the world, every single trans man, and about 2 cis men reluctantly. That's That's generally how I see it. And that is the key distinguishing factor of bisexuality. It really is the reluctance, the bitter resentment that you're attracted to men. Maybe that's what the bi is actually short for. It doesn't mean to, it means bitter resentment. What a fucking time, well, nearly half an hour. I've never spoken for this long in a row before. Oh, it's just speaking breaks every 20 minutes, shut up. Yeah, done that. What's next? Cutting that out. Can't be asked to do that. Sexuality for me was quite an easy thing. Quite an easy thing to figure out. Like, my sexuality hasn't really changed since I was 14. Other than that, I'm more jaded when it comes to men now, apparently. But you know, like, I put this down largely to be able to kind of grow up in quite a supportive and accepting environment. It turns out, you know, when you have an environment to like just kind of be and discover yourself without being legislated against, then that's absolutely fine. Yeah, enjoy that one at last, Johnny. But it's fine. Because of that, I have a very weird relationship with sexuality, especially when it comes to my parents, because I never really came out to my parents. Like they do know I'm bisexual. I have mentioned it in front of them. They have got me on Snapchat. They've seen the evidence. But yeah, we've never kind of had that one-on-one kind of, hey, guess what, Dad, I like cock kind of conversation. And like the whole concept of like having to come out to your parents always seemed really fucking weird to me. Like, because I would honestly rather just stay in the closet forever than have to have this conversation with my parents. Mum, Dad, I've got something really important I need to discuss with you. It's not going to be easy for me. It's probably not going to be easy for you to hear, but it's really important that I just say it. As well as achieving orgasm, through having vaginal sex with women and other people with vaginas, I can also achieve orgasm by doing butt stuff with other men. I'm trying to cry here. It's just really important for me that you understand that your son, who you gave birth to, well, you gave birth to, you were just there. Enjoy sexual activity of the vaginal, of the anal, of the oral types with people of any different gender and genital configuration. Which parents might say, oh right, yes, Sully, well thank you very much for telling us that. You know, your mother and I will love you no matter what. But we are actually eating at the moment. Like if I had kids, maybe this makes me a bad parent. Maybe it's a good thing I don't want kids. But if I had kids, I wouldn't want to really know all the shit to do with their sexuality. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be a terrible parent. I'd make it clear to them from a very early age that I don't mind who or what they do with their penis and or vagina, just so long as everyone involved is consensual and it's not so loud that it's drowning out the antique roadshow. I would be the way that my parents were to me, that it was okay if I bought a woman back, it was okay if I bought a man back. They would be equally judgmental of my tastes. But it just seems fucking weird to me that you're like expected to communicate with your parents how you like to fuck. There's no one else finding that weird. Like you're not expected to spout other aspects of your sexual preferences. You're never gonna have a situation where you're like, Mum, Dad, I need to talk to you about something. I'm massively into water sports. And I'm not talking about Tom Daly. Unless he's the one pissing on me. He's a very attractive man, and I like piss, so I bet. Like if I had a son and he told me he was gay, I don't think I'd know what to do with that information. I'd just kind of be like, what, you're gay? Okay, why are you telling me? I mean, I'm not gonna fuck you. I don't know where you thought this conversation was going to go. Even if you weren't my son, like, your game is weak, work harder. Yeah, safe voice probably is for the best that I don't want kids. Yeah, so, because of this, I never really felt the need to be closeted about my sexuality, and I didn't really understand the homophobia as a concept other than its depictions in some media. Now, there's a period of about a year between when I realised that I was bisexual and the rest of my school realised I was bisexual. I don't really know how they realised it at any point, like, because I wasn't specifically hiding it for them, but I didn't announce it in assembly, kind of thing. At some point, someone found out, and then like that absolutely spread around the school, and then I started to get the more kind of homophobic bullying. So I'd like overtly homophobic, not just presumptive, which I was getting. And it was, honestly, it was really fucking weird. It ranged from genuinely really harrowing and upsetting to fucking weird. I'm going to cover the second type because that stuff isn't funny. But I got some fucking weird homophobic bullying in school. Like, one which always just like is stayed in my head since it happened over a decade ago. Is this one guy came up to me and said, "So I hear you're bisexual." And I said, "Yes, but don't worry, you're not my type." I didn't say that. I am the kind of person who rethinks conversations I had 12 years ago with people who definitely don't remember who I am, just to make myself seem wittier, clearly. I didn't say that. I said, yeah, I am bisexual. And then I can only describe what he did as a sales pitch for lesbian porn. Like, just kind of it was like showing me all this stuff, and it was just like, yeah, this'll cure ya. That's been living rent-free in my head. We've just established I'm bisexual. Like, joke's on you, Anton from Year 9. I am already very interested in the sexual escapades of gay women. So much so it's what I want to be when I grow up. Second of all, like, even if I was genuinely gay, you're not gonna clockwork orange me into not liking dick. Right? and if you were gonna do it, you're doing it entirely the wrong way. You don't overexpose me to lesbian porn. What you do is you overexpose me to really bad man-on-man porn, and that might genuinely have worked. Because over the years of being bisexual, nothing has put me off men more than being around and dating and fucking men. I kind of hope he's worked on his technique. I mean, I hope he's not homophobic anymore, but if he is, I just hope he's more strategic with his conversion. That's the sentence I didn't think I was going to say. Fucking hell. So yeah, sexuality, fine, didn't really have any questions over that. I'm just like, oh, okay, I guess I'm bisexual, and then just kind of carried on as normal. Things got a bit more complicated when it came to my gender. I need to check my notes because I've forgotten what my gender is. That's But I think half the issue for me, so like sexuality was fine. I was like, I had an awareness of what that was. I was in a space where it was safe to kind of not necessarily directly experiment, to like explore that side of me. Whereas when it came to gender, like I said, I grew up in a weird time where like Section 28 had been repealed, but gay marriage still wasn't legal. So like, while queer stuff wasn't being directly repressed, it was still a very weird time culturally, and as such, there wasn't really a lot of LGBTQ plus representation in media, and the T especially had very little representation, so I didn't really have any concept of what being transgender was, let alone non-binary. Like, the closest thing I had to representation in media growing up was David Walliams wearing a dress. Yeah, no, it's not good. And is that... It's alright, I'm not praising David Walliams in this show, Michael, it's fine. This is not a David Walliams safe space. But it is actually quite a good barometer for discussing privilege and marginalisation. It's like, has an element of your personhood been mocked through Little Britain, and is that more than 50% of your representation in media in the 2000s? Congratulations, you're a marginalised group. How many aspects of your personality have been mocked, and how badly? Intersectionality. So yeah, this left me in a... There wasn't really anything for me, so this left me in a situation where I basically had to headcanon representation into media. Now, for those of you who've never had a Tumblr account, what that essentially means is I've had to just kind of project aspects of myself onto fictional characters because there was no actual representation for me. And the big one for me is, the thing I'm most ashamed about was Harry Potter. I know, it is my biggest character flaw. I would go back and change it if I could, but I can't. Are there any Harry Potter fans in the room? Good, correct. Like, I don't believe you, but I'm glad you're only suitably ashamed to not out yourself. And that's like all I can really ask you. Like, I'm not really bothered if you are someone who still finds comfort in the Harry Potter universe. I'd assume you haven't seen the last 2 films, they were fucking awful. But like, you know, if the Harry Potter universe still brings you joy, I'm not going to be mad at you for consuming that necessarily. I'm not going to be mad at you for still enjoying that. But I will be mad at you if you say that you're a Gryffindor in your Tinder bio. Like, there is absolutely, like, no excuse. Like, you've already got limited characters in your bio as it is. Like, at this point, you might as well just include a red flag. It'll be the same thing. And it's Gryffindor colours anyway, do it. But yeah, I was a huge Harry Potter fan. It was where I went to escape when I was being bullied as a child. It really fucking baffled me. It's a magical world where anything is possible. There wasn't a single trans kid in it, and that just fucking baffles me, because there is a character in the Harry Potter universe who refuses to go by her given name, can canonically change her appearance at will, is often seen with different brightly coloured types of hair, and we're supposed to believe she's completely cisgender. And to top it all off, at the end, she fucks a werewolf and dies tragically young. If she's cisgender, I'm a fucking alpha male. But yeah, and that's another thing, right? In the Harry Potter universe, I'm gonna like, this is my show, I can rant about this if I want to. In the Harry Potter universe, there are more characters who can canonically transform into different species than there are characters who can transition their gender. So Harry Potter has more furry representation. It's genuinely impressive for a franchise to be so progressive and regressive at the same time in the wrong directions. But yeah, it's not just Harry Potter that I think could have benefited with more overt LGBT+ representation. I think a lot of the media I enjoyed growing up could have really benefited from being just a little bit more queer. And a lot of them wouldn't have even really needed huge changes making. Like one of the shows I really enjoyed growing up was Postman Pat. Like, make her a lesbian. Make her a butch lesbian. She's got her own van. She's got a cat. She has a hairstyle that went out of fashion in the 1950s. It's already there. Bear in the Big Blue House. Just make him gay. You wouldn't even need to change the title. Ash Ketchum from Pokemon, make him a trans boy. He's obsessed with dangerous animals that you shouldn't keep. He hasn't aged in the last 3 decades. And he dresses like Ash Ketchum from Pokemon. Just think of how much better Little Fix It would have been with an asexual. I hate that, but it needs a proper punchline, and I haven't thought of better. I mean, yeah, I should probably update that one, but it's not as if, you know, the BBC has been hiding any other nonsense since then. As it is, I didn't have this representation growing up, which meant I had about as much knowledge of transgender things as Liz Truss has of economics. So, So, yeah, I didn't really know what was going on with me. All I knew is that whenever All the Things She Said by Tattoo came on, I cried. I didn't know that wasn't normal. I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing with... I didn't know what to do with that information. And in hindsight, I know what I was experiencing was gender dysphoria, which essentially, you know, the discomfort over the more kind of gendered and sexual aspects of your body. Some people, usually not trans people I find, but there might be some trans people, generally try and describe gender dysphoria as the feeling of being born into the wrong body. Now, I don't really feel that that's applicable to me personally. I don't feel that I was born in the wrong body necessarily. I just think that I and my hormones have very different creative visions. Essentially, I am the Serge Tankian to my hormones Darren Malakian. Like, none of what they're doing is wrong, but if I had my own way, I'd be going in a very different creative direction, and I have no desire to collaborate with them again in future. Thank you for being the 20 people that find that funny. Do you want to have less niche references, Johnny? No, I don't. But yeah, when you're feeling gender dysphoria without really having a conception as to what that is, people tend to go either one or two ways with it. Quite a lot of people will go, will kind of withdraw a lot. They will be basically asexual, like they're not comfortable having any kind of sexual contact or feelings because that makes them kind of like hyper-aware of the bits of their body that they really don't like. I didn't go that way. I kind of went the opposite way, and what I did is I started having lots of mediocre, unfulfilling and emotionless sex with anyone who'd have me. High five! Yeah! And yeah, the sex was unfulfilling, but to his credit, it was also underpaid. Right, move out of that. I'm fucking hell, I'm running behind. When I started, I was like, maybe I had too little material. No, it's like 45 minutes. Hurry the fuck up, Johnny. Right, yeah, eventually after a decade of very emotionally unfulfilling sex, I did finally figure it out. I discovered, hey, I'm this thing now. I'm non-binary. And one of my favourite things about being transgender is that people who previously showed no interest in my genitals now think of nothing else. It's really fucking weird. So I look at, like, I've been presenting like this a lot, quite a while. I've definitely upped it since coming out, and all I've noticed is that a lot of cis people, especially when they're drunk and have no filter, will often yell things at me. The most common one is, "Hey, is that a boy or a girl?" Which, like, on the surface, I think, okay, that's kind of rude to just, like, get out at a stranger, but it's not an inherently problematic question. But the thing is that a boy or a girl? That's not the question they're asking, that's just the words that they're using. What they actually want to know is it gay that they want to fuck me? Do they have somewhere to accommodate my penis without the need for assisted external lubricant? To which the answers are yes, it is, always, and depends how much fibre I've been eating. And it's a problem, like, since we're obsessed with gender, and it's not even just with gender non-conforming people. Like, this happens with literal unborn children. Like, if anyone in this room has ever been pregnant or known someone who's pregnant, you know, look, quite a common question pregnant people get is like, oh, congratulations, you're pregnant. Is it, are you gonna have a boy or a girl? Which, again, on the surface, a very innocent question, but if you strip away the innuendo, what you're essentially doing is, oh, you're pregnant, you're gonna have a baby, that's amazing. I need to know how that fucker's gonna piss. Not leaving till you tell me. And it's just fucking weird. Like, I have a radical idea. I think that maybe we should stop just being so obsessed with the genitals of strangers, whether they're born or not. Because I mean, there's only 3 scenarios realistically that you ever really need to know what genitals someone's have. Like, first of all, you know, if you're going to engage in a sexual relationship with them, okay, you want to know what kind of parts you're going to work with, that's fine. If you are a doctor and have been specifically asked to do some genital-based doctoring, okay, yeah, you kind of need to know. Or you're a cannibal with very specific dietary requirements. They're like, hey, fellow cannibals, it's me, another cannibal. I brought back a man to eat. Oh, a man? Oh, no, I'll pass, thanks, I can't eat them. You can't eat men? What are you, allergic to nuts? Hey! No, I'm a vegan. I'm a vegan. How long have you... since January. It's weird you haven't noticed before now. You've been doing this every weekend. I am a terrible friend, I'm so sorry. So, you don't mind if... Oh, no, crack on, it's not going to die. No, one of those judgmental ones. I'll just get a salad. What I've discovered in the process of writing this show is I'm very good at coming up with concepts I find funny. And then not knowing what to do with them, but eventually they'll be polished. Right, I've got 10 minutes left. That's pretty much on time, actually. Right, it's kind of hasn't done that one yet. Cool, okay. Right. Okay, so the most infuriating thing I think about how like obsessed cisgender society is with my genitals is that they still like there's a subsect of them in particular who still kind of see us as the sexual threats and see us as problems and see us as kind of sexually perverted, which some of us are, but in consenting ways. And these people are people who like to call themselves gender critical. Now, if you've not heard the term gender critical before, where are you hanging out? I'd like to be there and not anywhere else. Essentially, gender critical is what transphobic people like to call themselves and other transphobes because they don't like to be called transphobes. And it is not, to my dismay, the most based of Dungeons and Dragons mechanics. Roll for gender check. 20! You rolled a gender critical. You have all the genders now. I don't know how it's going to help you in this campaign, but it's nice to know. Nice to know, I'm sure you'll figure something out. Essentially, gender criticals believe that if you're born with a penis, you are a man and will always be a man. If you're born with a vagina, you are a woman and will always be a woman. Which is like, you know, a more reductive view of gender than Anton from year 9, who used to call me Jennifer because I had long hair. Right? Right? Like, there is no excuse for you to not be able to gender and name people correctly when Anton from year 9 did it, admittedly with hostility. It's really fucking weird to have gone my whole childhood like being like refused to be acknowledged as a real man, and now I'm like, oh, I'm not a real man. And I'm like, yeah, you're not a woman, now are you? Like, no, I guess not. But it's not to be so nasty about it. But yeah, not only that, it's also a weird fucking hill to die on. Like, could you imagine being in a relationship with this person with this very rigid ideological view? So just like on her birthday, you've made her breakfast in bed. You're like, hey, honey, happy birthday. I've made your favourite. It's omelets. And she just kicks the plate out of your hand and goes, yeah, well, they weren't always omelets, were they? Those are just eggs in denial. There's no such thing as trans omelets. Get them out of my bathroom. There could be kids in there. The metaphor doesn't go that far, but fuck it, went with it anyway. Right, this new bit, I don't know if it's funny, but I'm going to read it because it's the most recent thing I wrote. I'm going to be reading this basically word for word because I wrote it like yesterday. You probably have encountered these people before if you've ever been active on the internet. I was going to say Twitter, but it's not called Twitter anymore and I refuse to call it the other thing. But the kind of people who, one of their favourite phrases, one of the favourite things they like to say, is they like to say the phrase, sex is real. As if that's something that is A, controversial, B, moral, and C, proving a point. They'll say it all the time and go, oh, I'm not transphobic, I just believe that sex is real. I shouldn't be punished for saying that sex is real. As a woman, it is my right to say that sex is real. And you're just like, fucking give it a rest. Like, we know sex is real, we're having more of it than you. But like, it is just a dog whistle. It is just a dog whistle. Like nobody, least of all trans people, have ever claimed that sex wasn't real because, let you know a little secret, if sex wasn't real, we wouldn't be fucking trans! It's kind of a prerequisite to our existence. We're not in denial of sex, it's just, we just want to simply vibe as who we are, without weird boomers deciding that our existence is somehow worse for women's rights than the line of actual anti-abortion activists and far-right fascists. Again, not funny, but needs saying. But also, like, okay, sex is real. What does that even actually mean as a sentence? Like, sex itself refers to a number of observable traits and characteristics that are, by all account, real. But the concept of sex itself, that's just how some fucking nerds thousands of years ago decided to conceptualize the differences in our bodily aesthetics and functions thousands of fucking years ago. Like, sex is real, but it's a simplified and reductive generalization of observed traits and trends that we have at some point in history decided to use as the basis for segregating all of humanity. Like, sex is real, it's about as impactful a statement as nu metal is real. Like, yeah, it is, but only because that's how we decided to categorise things based on specific criteria, except at least nu metalers are still allowed to compete in sport and go to the same bathrooms as ska fans. Segregation animation based on these characteristics would be fucking weird. Maybe there's a parallel universe somewhere where you don't have men's and women's toilets, just checkered pants and baggy Jinko jeans. And then someone comes along in some fucking criminal damaged skinny jeans, and both of them go, fuck off, you're not allowed in here, timbre is real. Oh, there's some laughs in that, I can work with that. Just give 5 minutes, hurry up. Okay, one of the most ridiculous theories that the gender critics have about transgender women in particular is that we are what they like to call autogynephiles. Now, if you want to break that down, word auto of the self-gyne, vaginal file, like something, but you know, association with a word that isn't. It has some sketchy connotations, I won't really go with that particular word, but yeah, essentially just means liking it. So if you break that word down, what you have is they are saying that trans women like having their own vaginas. Like Sherlock fucking Holmes, breaking news, transgender woman feels better now her gender has been trans. But yeah, they say no, I mean, it's not about liking, it's about the fetishistic nature of it. They say that trans women aren't real. It's all about men pursuing transition because they get off on the idea of having a woman's body, and this is how they view all women, not just like, oh, there's some men who are appropriating the space. No, they think all trans women are just men who have fetishes of having their own vagina, which, you know, is like fundamentally, like, obviously it's a weird generation. It's just demonstrably untrue. Like a lot of trans women are asexual for starters. That kind of disproves that. A lot of trans women who have bottom surgery don't necessarily use their genitals to have sex. And now if you're sitting there thinking, how do you have sex without genitals? I'm sorry for all the bad sex you've been having. or like you get people like me who is trans but doesn't particularly want bottom surgery, and that does not align with that view. Like, so I'll be honest, like, I don't feel that dysphoric about my penis specifically, which feels weird to say, but like, I view my penis the same way that I view the Xbox series of consoles, in that it's not the hardware I would have chosen, but if it's given to me, at least it's something to play with. But you know, like as far as my gender dysphoria goes, there's 3 main things I want to change about my body. I want these to be bigger, I want this to be less hairy, and I want men to talk over this more. It's like, misogyny is bad, but there is something weirdly validating about going from someone who the worst men will kind of see as a comrade in misogyny to being the target of their misogyny. Yes, fuck me, daddy. Fucking love it. Alright, love, you'd be much prettier if you... Alright, love, you'd be much prettier if you smile more, you know. I'd be much prettier with your fucking cum on my face. Yes! I've got more of them, but I'll spare you because I'm running shit. But you know, even ignoring the fact that obviously it's not true that trans women are just people who fetishize their own vaginas, even if that was true, even if it was true that every single trans woman in the world is just a horny reprobate who only wants to transition so they can see how many Hot Wheels cars they can fit in their vagina before they orgasm and shoot him out down the T-Rex track that I always wanted as a child. And then that one with the 4 loops where they keep going round and round and round until they crash and you finally get in a piece. Even if that was the case, why is that a problem? Why would that be any of your fucking business? Why does it matter if a woman wants to use her own vagina? It doesn't matter if a woman wants to do it either. Her own vagina for sexual gratification, that's one of its functions, right? You don't have to use yours for that if you don't want to, obviously, but why the fuck should you have a say in what another woman does with her own fucking body and validate a womanhood because of it? It'd be like if your kid asked you for a new pair of trainers for Christmas and you said, no, I'm not giving you a new pair of trainers for Christmas because you only want those trainers to play hopscotch. Like, first of all, probably not, that would be a very weird thing, but also, even if that was the case, why is that a problem? Like, are you okay? This is not a weird, irrational thing to be angry about. But no, I can kind of understand where this discomfort comes from. I can understand why some cis women might be uncomfortable with the idea that some people that some people might feel sexually better about themselves if they had a body more like them. I understand that that could be kind of unusual. If I were to find out that some of you in this room could only get off sexually if you wear a prosthetic mask of my face, I might find that a bit weird. But you know what? you're consenting adults, do what you want, none of my fucking business, right? Unless you're having sex with me specifically, in which case we can talk about it. Like, I'm not saying I wouldn't be into it. Yeah, let's open that conversation first before we move too quickly. Right, last bit, come on, we're getting there. Right, yeah, but my main issue with your kind of video argument is that it's only ever applied to trans women, and it's only ever applied in a negative sense. Like, did I miss a memo? Is there something wrong with the idea of a woman of any type, you know, cisgender or normal, enjoying their own vagina? Like, I've met a lot of cis women who you could probably apply that term to, who like having their own vagina, some in possibly a fetishistic way. But are you implying that that's a bad thing or a sign of not a real woman to be sexually in tune with your own body? I didn't realise that was a defining trait of womanhood. You're only a real woman if you actively resent, or at least indifferent, to your own vagina. Otherwise you're just a pervert. Like, yeah, good job, feminism, yeah. Shaming the sexuality of sexually empowered women, those are the real enemies of feminism. I'm just saying, you know, if you don't think trans women are women purely based on the idea that they might like to have their own vagina, maybe you should just go away and go and enjoy your own vagina, which is the politest way I can think of to end the show by telling you to go fuck yourself. I do have one more bit before I do. First of all, one more time for Sam C. Thank you all for coming. If you haven't enjoyed the show, some of you have already given us money, so thank you very much for that. If you haven't, but would like to, we have a card machine in the back as well as a cash box. The money will be split between myself and Sam. Sam will be going to Edinburgh when? You doing a whole run?
Doing a whole run, yeah.
Doing a whole run, so if you're ever in Edinburgh, well, if you're in Edinburgh... He's going to be there forever now. Just go see him, but yeah, any money given tonight will help go towards that fund, and also I'll probably get some more pints here. So if you'd like to do that, and yeah, I guess just like if there's anything I wanted to take away from this show, it is just that, you know, being yourself's pretty rad. I've not figured out a way to have like a proper message at the end, but what I will say is, you know, like finding the term non-binary was genuinely a game changer for me. Like, this isn't just some weird midlife crisis. You know, I'm 27 years old. It is far too late to be having one of them in this economy. But yeah, like, nothing fundamentally changed about myself, but finding able to conceptualise myself and not just feel like I was living as a cosplay of myself is genuinely fucking amazing. And I guess, yeah, to end the show, like, I was bullied a lot at school, obviously, that's why I'm here. Once I started going to school presenting more like this, the bullying kind of changed, and I wasn't necessarily being called gay or not a real man anymore. People instead started to call me mentally ill and an attention seeker. Well, joke's on you, Anton, I've just done an hour of stand-up comedy. Who's a mentally ill attention seeker now? If anything, I want to take away that whatever your gender, your sexuality, any of that, it is more valid and worthwhile than being a stand-up comedian. And if anything, I'm more upset that that's the bigotry I experience is because of my gender and not the part of my identity that I'm actually ashamed about.